Sports Center.
Go, Liz, and it's Matty BT Scales. Is Sports Center 2 words? If so, are they the best 2 words in sports? And Saturday, Game 7 between the Spurs and Thunder made it a pretty tough decision.
Spurs in 7, well, that's 3, but hey, also works. They'll be facing the Knicks. Who better than Stephen A. to tell us what to expect in the finals? Sports Center starts right now.
A new era has dawned. It's Wemby's West. The Spurs are going to the NBA Final.
They certainly are. We needed all 7 of this best of 7 in the Western Conference. Thunder and Spurs has been a Hooper's delight. Sunday did not disappoint. Both squads came in dressed in all black, ready for a funeral. But one team would end up going home in this do-or-die matchup. Early first quarter, OKC down 4. Chet Holmgren. Floater does not go. That would end the Chet Holmgren portion of this here highlight. You ain't going to see a whole lot more of him other than him getting posterized. Speaking of, on the other end, Wemby all over Chet Holmgren. This is how you get things going if you are the Spurs. Wemby puts him on a poster. San Antonio goes up 6 with that bucket. We are just getting started halfway through the first. Stephon Castle is going to help his man Devin Vassell out off the backboard. May have wanted to get that counted as an assist. We're not really going to actually delve into that. OKC this postseason, first time trailing at the end of the first quarter at home. We move to the second quarter where SGA took over. Off the handoff, hits the 3. Cuts it down to a 8-point game a little later. Working in the mid-range, splitting the defenders. Straight to the rack he goes to flush that home. It's a 6-point lead for the Spurs. Under 4 minutes left in the half, SGA with the jumper. It's a 2-point game, and a few minutes later, he's dropping dimes. Lou Dort top side 3 is cash. We're tied at 49. Next OKC possession, Jalen Williams, the bucket, and their very first lead of the game for OKC. SGA in the second quarter scored or assisted on 18 of the Thunder's 28 points. Thunder up 2 there. 10 seconds left, though. It's Wemby with an unbelievable fadeaway. The big fella has the Spurs up 3 at the break, and they are 8-0 when leading at halftime this postseason. Third quarter action. SGA getting downhill, but denied by Wemby. The alien was working, but SGA was working harder at this point. He gets that one to go. OKC within 3 halfway through the third. Julian Champagnie wide open and cash. He had 20 points, was 6 of 10 from 3, and the Spurs are up 8 there. Few possessions later, Wemby on the wing, a 3 of his own. Becomes the first player in NBA history with 15 threes and 15 blocks in a playoff series. This is the Western Conference Finals. You are getting the guys to show up that you absolutely need to, including Jalen Williams with that 3. OKC down 3 going into the fourth quarter, and in that final frame of regulation, we had more haymakers to chart. This felt like a dagger in the moment. Wemby styling on Jalen Williams and hitting the 3, but Wemby fouls. Isaiah Hartenstein here would have to head to the bench after picking up his 5th foul. So halfway through the fourth quarter, who are you going to lean on? The other half of French Vanilla. Luke Cornett with the block, and on the other end, Castle makes it a 4-point swing. Cornett talked about that block post-game. He has some thoughts. We're going to share them with you. In any case, a few minutes later, Harper hitting the triple. Spurs up 12, but OKC would try to battle back. Cason Wallace, 3 of his own to bring him within 6. And still at that margin, under 20 seconds left. Wallace tries again. This one does not go. The Spurs take it to the other end of the court. Ain't no pleasantries being exchanged, baby. We flushing this one home. The emotions start to pour out for all of the Spurs, especially that man, Wemby. They win 111-103 and will take on the Knicks in the finals. So let's hear from the alien.
Winning the Larry O'Brien, it's a childhood dream.
And that brother is toting with this winning. It feels like it might be a wrap for the rest of y'all. In any case, the Spurs, 4th team to beat a 1 seed on the road in games 1 and 7 of the conference finals. 2018 Warriors over Houston did it as well as the 2005 Pistons over Miami, plus the 2002 Lakers over the Kings. A good omen for Spurs fans. The West teams, LA and Golden State, went on to win the title. Let's hear from the previous title winners, the Thunder.
I feel like we were able to, get to a lot of really good spots, and we moved the ball well, and found guys with advantages. We just weren't able to convert enough of them into points.
They were just a better team tonight, from start to finish. And then every time we tried to cut into it and take control of the game, it felt like they had an answer. And a lot of times it felt like it was tough shot making. So hats off to them. They have the makeup for sure. You don't beat us without the makeup, and they beat us, so they have the makeup to go get one. And yeah, we just had to take it one day at a time from here on out. Try to get better this summer and be a better team than we were this season and last season. And try to get back over the hump.
This here loss ends a handful of Thunder postseason streaks. It's their first time losing consecutive games in over 2 full calendar years, and the first Game 7 home loss in Thunder history. For the 8th consecutive season, we will have a different champion, extending the longest streak in NBA history.
We now welcome in Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A., the Spurs win Game 7, advancing to their first NBA Finals since 2014. What did you see from this team down the stretch?
A lot of poise, a lot of courage, big-time shots from shot makers that you wouldn't expect to operate in the Game 7, considering their youth. Wemby, big-time shots. De'Aaron Fox, a big-time shot. Penny coming off the bench to give you 20 actually started. I mean, you just look at what they was doing here. He's had 20 points. He showed up and delivered. Dylan Harper showed up and delivered. It was just a collective effort. 7 players scoring in double figures for the San Antonio Spurs. They didn't sit around and play the role of spectator as Victor Wembanyama did his thing. No, they knew he would need help, and they stepped up and they delivered in the Game 7. It helped that Jalen Williams and obviously A.J. Mitchell wasn't available for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But in the end, in a Game 7 on the road, considering the youth that exists on this San Antonio Spurs team, you got to give them a boatload of credit for doing what they did tonight. They really, really looked good. They stepped up and they showed that they were made for the moment. And you got to give them their props. It was really impressive.
For the Thunder, their depth got tested, and unfortunately they fall on the losing side of this here equation. Their chance at repeating ends in the conference finals for them. So what was different about this year's postseason run for OKC?
Well, the fact of the matter is you didn't have Jalen Williams, J-Dub, the backcourt mate of Gilgeous-Alexander for pretty much all of these playoffs. He really only played in about 3 games. He wasn't really, I'm talking about this entire postseason. He wasn't that effective. Shai Gilgeous shows up, he gives you 35, and he has virtually no help. Alex Caruso only hit 3 or 14 shots, and Chet Holmgren was such a no-show that they sent an APB out for him during the game. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. It was an awful no-show on his part to just attempt about a couple of shots for the game, knowing that Victor Wembanyama, a nemesis on a prep level for this man, was out there doing his thing. It is a real indictment against Chet Holmgren and the no-show that he was in tonight's game. And as a result, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Oklahoma City Thunder, rife with picks from now through 2032, I believe it's 13 first-round picks and 16 second-round picks they have as draft capital at their disposal. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they were looking in a different direction, looking to move Chet Holmgren to get somebody that could help offensively on that front line, because Victor Wembanyama is not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. He's going to be around a long time. And if you want to capture another championship in Oklahoma City, you got to deal with that man.
I don't know if there's any amount of help that's going to save you from a brother that's 7'4", hitting crossovers and step-back threes in the midst of a Game 7. So, Stephen A., we appreciate it. We're going to spin this thing forward and see how they're going to do against those Knicks.
Joined now by De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron, first of all, congratulations on the win. This one a closer contest than a few others in the series. What was it like closing out the game in the 4th quarter of Game 7 and knowing you guys are Western Conference champs?
It feels great. It feels great. This is just another stepping stone to the ultimate goal that we want, but we're going to enjoy it tonight, and tomorrow got to start thinking about the Knicks.
You talk about the ultimate goal. When you arrived in San Antonio, the goal was to compete for championships. You're now heading to your very first career NBA Finals. What does this moment mean for you personally?
It's great. It's great. I think, I've been through so much of my career, and being able to come here and kind of immediately compete for a championship. We knew that we had the talent. Everybody talk about, do we have the experience? Obviously Mitch was the first-year coach. Does he have the experience? All these things. But I think B. Wright and the organization built a great coaching staff. They put together a great group of guys, talented group of guys. And I think we show resilience, especially having to come here for a Game 7, probably one of the loudest arenas that I've played in my life, and coming through with a win. It feels great being able to go to the finals.
You got a lot of talent, but also a lot of youth. As you mentioned, Mitch, a first-year coach, a lot of youth on this team. This is one of the youngest teams in the association. As a veteran and that veteran presence in the locker room, how do you kind of navigate keeping everyone together through these moments, whether it's a Game 7 on the road or a long journey to get to this place where you're at now?
Just trying to keep guys calm. I mean, we have a bunch of pit bulls and bulldogs back there that are just ready to go. And a lot of times my job is to just make sure we're stable because, a game can get out of control and out of hand, obviously, quickly. But I think that's my job whenever I'm in there, especially with Dylan and Steph. Like, they have the utmost talent. They have the size. They have the athleticism. Sometimes they just got to be calmed down, and they're able to do their job.
When you say talent, size, and athleticism, I can't not think about Wemby's dunk on Chet in this game. You were right there. I got to know what your perception of that moment was.
I mean, that was early on, and I think that's one of the things that kind of set the tone. We're not always trying to go around guys. Sometimes you got to be able to go through somebody's chest, and he did that, I think, like the first 3 minutes of the game, and that set the tone for the game, and we tried to ride that wave throughout it.
Now, the game obviously just ended, but of course, as you mentioned, Spurs going on to face the Knicks in the NBA Finals. You guys are hosting Game 1 in front of your home crowd. What are your early anticipations of this series?
I think it's going to be rocking. It's funny enough, I've actually been to a Spurs Finals game when they played Miami in 13 or 14, one of those years. So I kind of know, I know that it's going to be loud, and this city has been, waiting to be back at the top of the mountain. So we're trying to get there.
Swipe us back. De'Aaron Fox, thanks so much for taking the time, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Now, the NBA started tracking player minutes in 1951. Since then, the Spurs are the second youngest team to reach the finals. San Antonio's average age is 25 years and 20 days. Only the 1977 Blazers were younger then, but wouldn't you know it, they were old enough to win the chip.
So let's talk about the young boys on the San Antonio side with Big Perk joining us here on Sports Center. Wemby, we've run out of adjectives, bruh. Puts up 22, leads the Spurs to a win. What else can we say about the alien at this point, now that he's led this team to the finals?
I mean, Wemby is the best thing that happened to the NBA since LeBron James in 2003, real talk. And he checked all the boxes. Number one, he's box office, so he's going to put butts in the seats. He's the ultimate competitor on both ends of the floor, and what a beautiful performance throughout the whole course of this conference finals and the playoffs to get his team to the NBA Finals. I can't speak on his leadership enough on what he's brought to the table, embodying the rest of his young squad, being a true leader, and trusting his teammates. The Spurs on the road in a tough environment, they had 7 guys in double figures tonight. And when you look at what Wemby did after the game, you saw his emotions. He wanted. We heard him talk about how he wanted to participate in the dunk contest, how he wanted to win the MVP, how he made the All-Star game great again. And now all of a sudden we're watching this young man embrace everything about the league and especially headed to the NBA Finals for his first time.
It's in a sense unlike any other, quite frankly. We heard De'Aaron Fox say earlier that he set the tone in this game by putting Chet on a poster and potentially on the back of a milk carton by game's end. So SGA gives you 35. You don't get a whole lot from anybody else. Where do we assign blame, I guess, when it comes to the Thunder side of this equation?
And Chet Holmgren, we're talking about a guy that was a first-time All-Star this year and made third-team All-NBA and was a complete no-show, not just in Game 7, all throughout the course of this series. And Wemby straight up not only pumped him, but he took his heart. He snatched his soul. Chet Holmgren was scared to compete. And now Sam Presti, he have real business decisions to make when it comes to Chet Holmgren. This is not an overreaction. This is facts. Wemby is not going anywhere. He's going to be here. with that being said, you got to find somebody that's going to be that dude, especially if you don't know, at times injuries happen. We saw J-Dub being out. But you got to go find a guy like a Giannis Antetokounmpo that's going to come in and move the needle and be able to go toe-to-toe at some capacity with Wemby, because Chet Holmgren ain't it.
Giannis on the Thunder is insane, but it feels like that's the measure you're going to have to go when you got
franchise record. Spurs dominated the Blazers in Game 5, defeating the Blazers 4-1 in the series, reaching the conference semis for the first time since 2017, where they took on the Timberwolves. Now, Spurs up 2-1 in the series, but Game 4, Wemby elbows Naz Reid in the face, issued a flagrant 2 foul, earned his first career ejection, and unsurprisingly, the Spurs lost the game. Wemby did bounce back in Game 5 with 27, 17, and 5, and 3 blocks, leading the Spurs to a victory. Game 6, Spurs dominated the Tibbies, 30-point win to close out the series. 4-2 in the series, and San Antonio advances to the Western Conference Finals for the 15th time in franchise history, where they take on the defending champ Oklahoma City Thunder. Game 1, Wemby had a night to remember. He exploded 41 points and 24 rebounds, an otherworldly stat line, sealing the game with a pair of dunks. The Spurs won 122-115 in double overtime, giving the Thunder their first playoff loss this season. In Game 6, Spurs trailing in the series. In a must-win game for the Spurs, Wemby continued to be dominant. The third quarter, Spurs went on a 20-0 run to take control of the game. They'd force a Game 7. Now, early in the fourth quarter, Wemby knocks down the step back. He had 22 points and 7 rebounds. Spurs up 9 there, under 7 minutes left in the fourth. Wemby on the bench with his 5th foul. Isaiah Hartenstein blocked by Luke Cornett in a block that some might call generational, Trev. Cornett, huge stop at the rim. Wemby is pumped. And off the miss, Stephon Castle there for the putback. Spurs win 111-103, advancing the finals for the first time since 2014.
Stephen A. back with us now. The NBA Finals is set, big dog. Spurs, Knicks, history of the Knicks against the future potentially of the Spurs. What are your first thoughts on this here matchup?
Well, your first thoughts is that, you've got a poised New York Knicks team, winners of 11 straight playoff games by an average of 23.8 points, simply annihilating the competition over the last 11 games or so, outscoring them by 262 points. This is what you're talking about when you talk about the New York Knicks. You're talking about one of the great players in the game today in Jalen Brunson, a guy in Karl Anthony Towns that's a facilitator and a sniper from long range, with guys like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and others who know their roles and have played it exceptionally well, and Mike Brown, who's a championship-tested coach. This is a man that's got 2 rings as an assistant coach. He's coached in an NBA Finals before, and you know that he knows what he's doing. And so you know that the New York Knicks, back in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999, are primed and ready and rested to go. I've got a bit of trepidation, a little concern, because Mitchell Robinson, their backup big at 7 feet, 245 pounds, somehow, some way managed to break his pinky during the week off or so that he's had. Don't get me started with that. But in the end, going against the San Antonio Spurs, their inexperience is something that the New York Knicks can try and lead on. But the reality is they got a 7'5" alien by the name of Victor Wembanyama from France, who is all world. And he showed up in this postseason and let everybody know who he is. And by the way, his supporting cast ain't shabby at all. Experienced in Harrison Barnes, a champion, and De'Aaron Fox, who's been in Game 7s before. Young studs like Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. You look at these guys and what they bring to the table, along with Kelton Johnson. They got a lot of weapons, and Champagny. They got a lot of weapons. They can win the championship. They're going to be the favorites to win the championship, but I'm not counting the New York Knicks out by a long shot.
Okay, so are we picking the Knicks, though? I just want to make sure for the people. Are you ready to make that pick?
Me, I am.
Okay.
Me, I am. But I can't look in good faith. I'm an honest broker. I have to sit up there and acknowledge that the San Antonio Spurs have been the better team during the regular season. They finished with 62 wins. They are justified to be the favorites to win this championship, considering the fact that they were in the better conference, and they obviously had tougher competition in the conference finals going up against OKC. But damn it, I ain't jumping off the shit with my New York Knicks. If there's a way, they will find it. I believe in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns and the crew, and I'm sticking with the Knicks as always.
Sticking with the orange and blue sky, Stephen A. We appreciate it
That's
as
right.
always, sir.